If you've ever sat in a doctor's office and been told everything looks fine while your body was screaming otherwise, this episode is for you. I spent years bouncing between specialists, one for my gut, one for my hormones, one for my iron, none of them talking to each other. And after my own missed miscarriage, I remember thinking, how is it possible that no one is looking at me, the whole person, instead of just the piece in front of them? Today, I'm talking with Dr. Marc Sklar, a fertility specialist with over 24 years of experience, about exactly that. Why up to 75% of couples he works with have digestive issues, quietly driving their fertility struggles. Why unexplained infertility often just means someone stopped looking too soon. And why your fertility isn't a light switch that flips off on your next birthday. It's a dimmer switch you have more control over than you've been told. If you've ever been made feel like your body is the problem, stay with us because what you're about to hear might be the missing piece you've been waiting for. Let's get into it. Welcome to the podcast, the intersection of pregnancy loss, fertility, trauma, and purpose, having the conversations that should have been happening all along. Today, I have with me Dr. Marc Sklar. He is the fertility expert, a natural fertility specialist with 24 years of experience helping couples get pregnant, holding a doctorate in acupuncture and Oriental medicine, and trained at Harvard Medical School's Mind Body Medical Institute. He is a fellow of the American Board of Oriental Reproductive Medicine and medical advisor for Symphony Natural Health. Dr. Sklar is the creator of Fertility TV, co-founder of the Rejuve fertility supplement line, and runs reproductive wellness clinics in San Diego. He supports couples worldwide through his Hope Fertility program and popular YouTube channel, where he educates followers on all things fertility. Thank you for joining us, Marc.
Thanks for having us, Sharna. It's excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have this chat with you today as well, because like we said, or I said before we started recording, there are very many professionals that can help women and or couples go deeper into the root cause of what is happening. And I love what you have done and how you help people.
Thanks.
So
Yeah, that's
that's
great.
okay. Yeah. So I'd love to have a chat with you today about all of that, the holistic, the mind body connection. And yeah, did you want to share a little bit about what you do, how you came to it, and all of that?
Yeah, absolutely. I am a functional medicine, natural medicine, Chinese medicine provider, and my whole focus has always been for the last 24 plus years has really been on fertility and reproductive health. I did not get into the medicine because of reproductive issues. I actually got into the medicine because of my own personal digestive issues, which is something I utilize still all that information, all that knowledge is something I utilize every day with the couples that I support because so many of the couples still have digestive issues, and there's a huge intersection between digestive issues and all the other reproductive issues that I see on a regular basis. So it's a core foundation of how I support couples today. But I didn't know that when I got into the medicine and when I started to become interested in it. Interestingly enough, I always thought because I got into the medicine for my own digestive issues, I always thought that I'd be doing a lot more with digestion. It's like that would be my main focus. But when I was working with my first patient who had fertility issues, she had PCOS, and she came to me to help her regulate her hormones and get pregnant. Within 4.5 months, she was pregnant. She didn't believe it. I didn't believe it. We were both like happily surprised and shocked. But it was that moment where I realized this is awesome. I want to do more of this. The feeling that she had when she found out she was pregnant, she didn't think she could be. The feeling that I had when I realized she was pregnant and that I could help her get to that point was transforming and life-changing for me. So I often joke that as much as I helped her with her two children, she helped me much more than I ever helped her because she helped me solidify my path professionally, but also helped me be able to then reach out and support all these couples all over the world for the last 24 years. And I don't know if that would have happened otherwise. So that's what drove me in this direction. And since that time, I've really just dove deeper and deeper into reproductive health and fertility, all aspects of it. And I often say that the more complicated, the more difficult that it is, the more I want to be involved. So that's what's brought me here today.
Yeah, that's so amazing. And I love that also was something that, like a personal experience of yours, that kind of directed you into that space, but also in a way that you never thought that was going to happen. And I think we do get into these healing roles because of something that we have been through ourselves.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. With the whole gut thing, that's interesting because that was something that I experienced my whole fertility journey as well. I was diagnosed with Crohn's and then undiagnosed with Crohn's and then diagnosed with IBS. And then they're just like, we don't actually know what's happening with you.
Okay.
So I'm like historically, you don't get undiagnosed with Crohn's. Like once there is inflammation there, it's like this condition that you manage. So I had all of the tests. There was 2 centimeters of inflamed intestine. So they were like, this is you. You have this. And then within, I think, 6 months, I had another test done and they were like, oh, okay, the inflammation's gone. And I was like, cool. So what does this mean? But then understanding, then going through my own stuff, my own healing, my own, after being diagnosed with Crohn's and then undiagnosed. Obviously, I was, I think, in my mid 20s, mid to late 20s when that happened. And then in my 30s was then trying to fall pregnant. So there was a little bit of time in between, but we couldn't fall pregnant. And then I had seen a fertility specialist. They're like, just take Clomid, it will work for you. So I was like, cool. I wanted to fall pregnant. So I was like, I'll just do that. That pregnancy then ended in a missed miscarriage. So then that was what catapulted me into obviously the work that I do. Because then it was like, I've just gone through 5 years of a fertility journey that ended this way. There has to be other people that are going through this. But then not realizing how connected our body is and how it's always communicating with each other. I was an elite athlete growing up. My dad always said to me, you are what you eat. And I was like, whatever. What does
Mhm.
that even mean? But now I understand what he means. Like the gut has a direct link to so much of our mental health, our emotional health, reproductive health, like everything. And then when we also have this potential nervous system, maybe dysregulation as well, like I felt like that hit my gut so much and made me nauseous all the time. Like every time I was in that fight or flight state, it would hit my gut. I would feel it almost
Mhm.
instantly. So then I'm like, there's got to be something here. There has to be a connection here. And I love that you made that connection because, like I said before, there's not very many people, professionals, that make that sort of mind body connection for reproductive health.
Yeah, that's very true. For me, it's something that I consistently see on my side of things when I'm working with couples. I would probably say that upwards of about 70-75% of the couples that I support have at least one, if not both, partners have some sort of digestive issue that I think is a contributing factor to their fertility issues. I see it a lot with any like autoimmune issue. I see it a lot with endometriosis, PCOS, and then it's just mixed in throughout. I just had, excuse me, I just had someone today who was asking me, so she wanted clarity on her root causes, like what's the root cause of my fertility struggles? And I gave her that list, and in it was digestive issues. And she was confused because she wasn't used to seeing all these different pieces on a list. It wasn't like, oh, you just have PCOS or you just have endometriosis. It was, you have PCOS and you have some dysbiosis in your digestive system, you have adrenal issues. There were some other things, but it was a list of 6 to 8 things. And most of those things outside of PCOS, and I think she had low progesterone as well, the rest had nothing to do with hormones or reproductive function or her endocrine system. They were all different systems. And you had said something just a couple minutes ago about how our systems, I won't catch exactly how you quoted it, but like how our systems communicate with one another, right? That they talk to each other. And, we think of our bodies, and I think part of the reason we think of this is because of the way the medical system is created today, that we have all these specialties, right? If you're having cardiovascular issues, you're going to go see the cardiologist. And if you're a woman, you go see the gynecologist, but she doesn't treat all gynecological issues. She only treats some gynecological issues. And if you have fertility issues, then you go to the reproductive endocrinologist, not the endocrinologist. But if you have diabetes, then we're going to send you to the endocrinologist. But they don't talk to each other, right? So if you've got an issue over here, they're not going to talk to the person over here. And you could be seeing 5 different doctors and they're not all talking to each other because they've got their walls up and their blinders on, and they got to stay in their lane. But our body is really not like that. And so we have this false image because of the way the medical system is, that our bodies are these different systems with walls and doors, and you got to open up the door and peek inside and maybe they'll talk to each other, but they really don't. They really communicate one to the other very fluidly throughout the day, all day long, and we can't even comprehend how that happens. And yes, very much with all of these issues, when I gave her that list, she couldn't, it was very weird to her that, oh, I don't understand how all these things impact my fertility. We had that conversation. I might send somebody a report that has no reproductive issues listed on it as my findings. And this is where we get into places where couples have been told it's unexplained. It's unexplained often because we have our blinders on and we're staying in our lane as physicians or clinical practices. And so I'm not going to look here or there. I'm just looking here, but everything here looks good. So you look good, you can get pregnant. So I don't know why you're not getting pregnant, but you should be able to get pregnant. Everything looks good from what I see. But the reality is, yeah, they have digestive issues. Their nervous system is compromised. The immune system might be impacting their ability to get pregnant or stay pregnant. And all of these things impact your reproductive health and your fertility because we're not isolated pieces. We're all one whole being. And so, yeah, if our body's not functioning properly, if we're not healthy, then our fertility will be compromised at some point. And so with that, I do find that digestion is at the core of that, because if our digestive system is not functioning properly, we don't feel good. We have a lot of discomfort and pain. We don't really want to eat. Maybe we're not digesting our food properly, so we're not getting the nutrients that we need. And all of this has a trickle effect down the road. Yes, it starts with your digestive system, but then at some point, that's going to start to impact other areas of your body, other systems. It might not be the first system it impacts. In some individuals, it might be the third or fourth by the time we get to fertility and reproductive health, or it might be the next step, right? It just depends on our constitution, our genetics, our epigenetics, how we're living today. All of that's going to impact our fertility. So I do think it's really important for us to have this more comprehensive approach and to be able to take a step back overall and be able to look at our health. And one of my favorite things to tell everybody is the healthier you are, the more fertile you're going to be. So my job is to get you healthy, and that requires me to look at everything to be able to do that.
And it would feel so weird to get given a list of things where it's not like it's holistic stuff. Like, what's my nutrition got to do with my fertility? But that
Right.
was like in my healing. Like I said, it was something that sounded out in my head like consistently was the nutrition piece. Like, I'm not eating properly and I haven't been. And coming from an elite athlete background, like I knew how to eat properly and I knew that I wasn't. So that was just one thing I intuitively changed in amongst so much. And when you think about it, I think is our guts like our second brain or something? There is more neurons in our gut actively than our brain or something. I don't know if I've read that, but um there's so much more communication coming from our gut to other areas of our body. And I feel it when I have eaten takeout. I'm exhausted. I have like brain fatigue, like you can't think straight. And then your ability to actually handle outside life starts to diminish as well. So then if you've got any challenges coming at you, you just feel like, oh my gosh, this is so overwhelming. But when you can look after or even just pay attention to what you're eating and make a conscious decision, okay, this is something I do need to change. When I did that for me, that was just something that shifted almost instantly. There was like almost like this fog just lifted from my brain. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can make better decisions. I can think a bit more clearer. And I wish that I had someone to actually tell me that's an actual thing. But for me, when I was going through it, I was even sharing it with other people, like what I was doing. And I was getting a lot of pushback because they were like, oh, what's that got to do with anything? And I'm like, no, but seriously, just try it. And I think, especially when we have gone through pregnancy loss, like being that was when I woke up to, okay, what is my lifestyle like? And like you said, the epigenetics, like where is the external stresses coming from? There was so much in my work environment at the time as well that was very toxic. So when I did step back and had that bird's eye view of my life, I was like, wow, there is so many different little things that I could change or choose to view differently, because obviously not everyone can leave their job, but you can choose to show up in those spaces differently as well. And that's what I was able to do for my mental health and my emotional health, because I was just in this constant state of fight or flight like every single day, to the point where I was physically sick with diarrhea, vomiting. I couldn't eat properly. I was that nauseous. I couldn't eat properly. I was coming home every day and I was crying. There was just a physical then effect of that work environment that I knew wasn't healthy for me to move forward with.
Yeah. I think that we get used to feeling a certain way as humans. We have this false belief or understanding that the way we feel when we feel crappy is just the way life is, right? And like a good crappy day is like the peak of what we could feel like, right? So I always tell everybody, if all you know is that you could feel, let's just say it's 1 out of 50, and 50 is like the best feeling in the world, it's amazing. If all you know is like 15 and 20 is like a good day, you can't even comprehend what it would be like to feel 30, 40, or 50 ever until you can experience it once. then the light bulb goes off and you're like, oh, I didn't even know that was possible. And now that I know that's what I want, right? So if you're going around, and I'm exaggerating, but if you're going around and you're not sleeping well and drinking alcohol every night and eating fast food every day, like you're only going to know so much of what it feels like to feel good and be able to think clearly and have the right energy and sleep well until we start peeling those layers away. So I think it's really important for those listening to recognize that there's probably more than what you could imagine. You just haven't experienced it yet. And one of the goals that I have for everybody is for them to come back to me and say, I didn't even know I could feel this good. I wake up every day and I have energy and I sleep well and I want to go through my day. So I think that's an important piece. And I do think that food is such an important part of that experience. I'd like to think, although I don't think it's always the case, but I'd like to think that when it comes to food, everybody knows what's good and bad. We just ignore it. It's not like we don't know that fried food is bad for us. It just tastes so good. So we just want the fried food. But I know that or I want to believe that most people know what's bad for us. They just don't realize how bad it is or that we could make other choices. And I think so much of our the changes that we want to see for ourselves and for others really comes back to choice. You were having a hard time at work and you had all this stress and it was impacting you physically. At some point, all the emotional stressors that we have in the world are going to, if we don't handle them properly, are going to start to affect us physically. It might take 6 months, it might take 6 years or more, but they will start to impact us physically. And I think it's really important that we start to recognize that hopefully before we get to that point, but at least in your situation, you had the wherewithal to realize, oh, I don't want to feel this way. I don't want to have this experience where I'm nauseous every day and I'm coming home crying and I'm not feeling good and I'm in pain. I need to make change, right? It's not worth it to stay at that job if I'm going to continue to feel this crappy every day. So I've got to make change. And I do believe that we can all take a step back. Like we all need coaches and guides and mentors in our life for all sorts of things. But inherently, I think we all know what we need. We might not know how to get there. We might need help to get there, need support to get there. But I think if we all take a step back and take inventory of our lives and our day and ourselves, I think we could come up with a list of things that we would want to be different or that should change, right? Oh, yeah, my digestion doesn't feel right. I'd like that to be different. I'm not sleeping great. I have a lot of stress at work. We could come up with our list. Now, we might not know how to get from A to Z on our own, but we could come up with the list to prioritize. And I think that's something that we can all do when we take personal inventory of ourselves. It might be a relationship, it might be whatever it is for ourselves, right? But we can then come up with that list. And then from there, we can say, okay, what do I think I can do on my own? What do I need help with? And then start to peel that onion. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in a month, maybe not even happen a year. But that doesn't mean we don't move forward every day to be better today than we were yesterday. And I think that's a really important piece when we're on this fertility journey, when we're trying to support ourselves and get healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what came to me too when you were talking was when I was doing that for myself, my end goal was obviously I wanted to fall pregnant.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to spend another 5 years trying to fall pregnant. Like I had already gone and hit rock bottom multiple times in that time and questioned my ability and my body's ability and me as a woman. I was just like, it's just not working. I'm like, I'm not going to go down the same path. I'm not going to do the same things again. So I'm like, what can I change? And ultimately, yes, I wanted to fall pregnant. I wanted to have a child. That was the end goal, but obviously not attaching all of my decisions to that, this is what I'm going to get. It was, how can I be healthy and, like you said, a better version of you first, so that becomes possible. I want to tell you about something I'm running Wednesday, the 8th of July, that I need you to be aware of. Whether you are a woman who has experienced pregnancy loss and is thinking about trying again, or you are a practitioner who supports women in that space, this is for you. Because there is a conversation that is not happening in preconception care. What pregnancy loss actually does to the body before the next pregnancy. The birth that was never acknowledged. The nervous system that never got the signal it was over. The layer underneath that, no supplement, no cycle tracker, no standard protocol was ever designed to reach. The research I have been doing has confirmed this gap exists, and on Wednesday the 8th, I'm teaching directly into it. It is called Preconception Readiness After Pregnancy Loss. It is free, it is live, Wednesday the 8th of July at 9:30 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And if you cannot make it live, the replay will be available for 30 days inside my free Facebook community. The link to register is in the show notes. I will see you there. Not that I knew, oh, you can't control the future. You don't know that's going to be the end result. But I just knew that if I made those changes, I had a better chance. And that was something that I was willing to do. The change is hard. It's not easy. And I think that's where a lot of people will give up or not even try, because where you are feels so comfortable. You know it there. You might not think, oh, you might know that, like you said, the food is not great. It's easy. I come home from work late. I don't have time to prepare dinner. Getting takeouts easy. What I started to do was, okay, I had time in the morning. I started to cook my dinners in the morning and stick them in the fridge and then reheat them when I got home.
Perfect.
So there was just there is a way around it if you're willing to work it out for yourself. And I actually I changed GPs also in that time when I was after the miscarriage, and I found an integrative doctor who helped me understand my body, not just like you said. And this is what I was talking to a mum yesterday at my daughter's homeschool catch up. Just randomly, she asked me what I did, so we started talking, and she actually likened it to silos. She's, yeah, you've got like all of these different silos of support, but none of them talk to each other. And that's exactly what you said. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just had this conversation yesterday. It was like, you're reading my mind. So that's exactly how our conversation went. You have someone who will talk to you about your mental health. Like, you'll go to a therapist, like you'll go to the doctor for your physical health. But like you said, there's always only one sort of thing that they're going to be looking at. They're not looking at you as a whole. And that's what's missing. We need people like yourself to view the women and the couples as a whole. It's not just the female. Sometimes in the fertility journey, it can be the
Right.
male as well. And to be able to bring that awareness to, it's not just, here, take this tablet and everything will be okay. No, I didn't even see a fertility specialist after my miscarriage then. I was like, you know what? That didn't work for me. And we don't have anyone that can, if I had someone that I knew that was like yourself, that viewed someone holistically, then yes, absolutely. It would have been something that it was what I was looking for, but there was nothing available. I didn't want to go back to the fertility specialist that I had, because he was just like, here, have this tablet, everything will be okay. I knew my hormones weren't right. I knew, like, my iron levels were always so low that I was on iron infusions like all the time, but not once was any of that taken into consideration. And I was like, there's got to be a reason why my iron's low. There's got to be a reason why my hormones are never right. There has to be a reason, like, why all of these things are happening in our bodies. Like you said, it's not this isolated thing. They're talking, and it's like a domino effect. If one thing is off, other systems start to go as well. And I was just like, no, I need to view myself holistically. I need to understand what's actually happening. And then working with an integrative doctor was what changed everything for me, because essentially she does what you do. She
Yeah.
looks at you as a whole human being.
Yeah, and she doesn't, and I'm sure she doesn't. I don't want to speak for her. She doesn't, and I don't. We don't offer every service under the sun. It's not like we can do everything, but we take a more comprehensive approach in how we view the body to then help manage those couples that we're working with to say, okay, let's add these things in. I might not do X, Y, and Z, but let's go find that for you. Let's have you start that, and then let's see how you do. So many of the couples that I support are all over the world. I have some in Australia, the US, all over the world. And it's not like I can do all the things for them, right? But I could be that person who takes that step back, who oversees the whole thing and says, okay, these are all the things going on. These are the things that you need to start to do and add in. Now let's do them. Let's make these changes. Let's see where you're at. Let's monitor your progress. Let's see how that progress goes. And then we adjust from there. And I think that's really what she was able to do for you and what so many people are missing, whether they're just struggling to even get pregnant or struggling to hold a pregnancy. That's a huge piece of that. Now, you said something when you said change is hard. It's for sure it's hard. It's not easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it every day and move on with our lives. But it's really challenging because we're all set in our ways and it's comfortable and it's easy to keep doing what we've been doing. It feels comfortable and safe. But change is hard and it's scary. But that fear around it, I think, is a positive thing, not a negative thing. It's really the fear of the unknown and not sure what's going to happen when we make those changes. But it's easier oftentimes to just give up. Like I had someone yesterday reach out to one of my team members and just said, we're not working with her, but she was considering working with us. And she said, look, it's been hard. I've had multiple losses. The IVF clinics have basically told me I should just look at donor and it's not worth it. And I just think I'm at a place where I need to move on and I'm just going to move on with my life. And I think it's she's doing that for a couple of reasons. One is because change is really difficult. It's scary to trust somebody again, to want to believe that there's another possibility. Like all these other doctors told me it's not possible. This one tells me it's possible. Why would I believe him when all the others have told me it's not possible? You need a donor egg. So I understand that it's scary, right? I don't think that doctors realize how strong their words are,
Mm-hmm.
how much of an impact it really has on the patients that they're talking to. I've heard doctors say all sorts of awful things to patients that I was in shock when they told me that said it. I was like, I can't believe they even spoke those words to you. Who would even speak to anybody like that, let alone a patient? They don't realize how damaging their words are. And these negative words are so damaging, they are imprinted into our brains, and it's so difficult to move past that. And that's what happened with this woman yesterday who said, look, I'm going to give up. I'm going to move on with my life. Everyone has their own path, and that's totally fine. I'm not here to force anyone to do anything. But when I'm the only one saying you can get pregnant, it's hard to believe it. It's like us looking at the moon and talking to an alien who lives on a different planet and they only see the other side of the moon. And then we're like, oh no, there's this face. If you look at the moon, there's this face. When you look up at it, it looks like a face. It looks like even if it's really cool. I don't know what you're talking about. There's no such thing. I'm looking at the moon on my side. It just looks like a bunch of rock. I don't know what you're talking about. They could never comprehend it because they don't have that perspective to see the opportunities that we have, to see what's available to us. We truly need to make a shift, a paradigm shift, a mental shift, a shift of perspective of what's available and what's true and what opportunities are there for us. And that is not easy to do when all you've been hearing is the other. And I
Yeah.
think that is one of the really challenging pieces. I think it's super impressive that you were able to make that shift for yourself, because I don't think that's as easy as it is for most people to be able to make that shift and move in a different direction. I imagine that's part of the reason why you have this podcast, is to really encourage others to seek out something different, to make a different shift, a different paradigm shift for themselves. It's scary to make that shift. It's scary in a lot of ways. It's scary for yourself because you've got to believe again and have hope, but it's also scary because you have to explain it to other people. You might be looked at weird by other people. What's this? She's gone crazy. Look what they're doing. So there's a lot that comes into it. It's not accepted in a lot of ways. It's accepted to spend $50,000 in IVF repeatedly and put all these hormones into your body and let that cause whatever havoc it causes. But it's not acceptable to try to do it in a natural way and try to figure out what the real problems are. I think sometimes we just have to say these things out loud so we can hear it, hear the
Yeah.
words being told to us, so we can be like, yeah, that sounds a little ridiculous. But that's the reality. That's what I see so often
Yeah.
with couples. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, you're 100% right, because this is why I bring people into the podcast, because also that's part of my journey too. And I've never had anyone to connect the dots for me. But if I had someone to go, okay, this is related to this and it's all connected, let's go, let's work on these things. Then they would be like, yep, cool, let's do it. And I always believed in a more holistic way. I didn't like having to put chemicals and hormones in my body that was unnecessary. But it is hard to break into a space where you see things so differently, but are very much transformational, although it's not widely accepted, because a lot of the time when you go from like your normal medical system, from your GP, they'll be like, yeah, just go see a fertility specialist like they did with me. And you just get referred some medication and sent on your way. Or you go and you do the IVF and the injections. And then you do have someone like yourself who is sitting here like screaming, going, there is another way. And as a side benefit, you are going to feel incredible for the rest of your life. Like your health, your mental health, your emotional health, if we can work on these things, you could reach that 40, 50 that you were mentioning before, and increase your chances to fall pregnant and have a healthy pregnancy. Like, when I was going through it, there really wasn't a downside to that. That payoff was so much bigger than my fear of doing it. I had tried everything, and I didn't want to go down that path again. Yes, I was scared to try something that I hadn't ever done, but then I was like, isn't the sign of insanity to do the same thing over and over again and get the same results?
Yes.
So I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to try the same path and then hope for a different outcome. I'm going to step into what I don't know. I lent on my GP for some direction and advice in some things. And then I just trusted that what I was thinking and what I was feeling was the right path for me. like you said, you just don't know who to call on, or you don't know that next step, but you just know the things that you need to change. And if that payoff is greater, then I absolutely encourage people to step into that, step out of what they've been doing and go, okay, let's explore. Don't have to take action straight away, but let's just explore what that could look like.
Yeah, I think that's really valuable. That piece of just exploration. You're just learning about it. You can decide later if you want to stay there or not. I think that feels good and feels safe. I also think this is more true for women than for men, but I think it's accessible for all of us, is listening to our gut and to our intuition, trusting that it's leading us in the right way. I wholeheartedly believe that when we have to make some decisions, when life gets challenging and we need to take a step back and take new inventory and try to figure out where we're going to go from here, when we're faced with a path, I can continue going down this path that I've been doing for a while, or I can take a different path. I don't know what that is. I think if we just listen to ourselves, if we trust in ourselves, if we listen to our gut and our intuition, that we won't be steered wrong. We just have to be willing to listen and trust in it. Well, all too often we've ignored it and pushed it down. And so, no, that can't be right, because we're using our logical brain around it versus trusting in ourselves. But we've all also had moments in life where we just went with the flow. We just followed along. We listened to our gut. Yeah, that feels right. We're going to go. And things have worked out. But we forget about it because our brains are wired to remember the crappy things and the difficult things and the hard things. We forget about all the good things because it doesn't leave the same imprint. It's called woman's intuition or female intuition for a reason. You need to listen to what your body is telling you and trust that it is leading you down the right path. It's not always, the answers might not be so quick to get, everything might not happen so easily. Like you said, it's a difficult path, or it was a hard path to go down and took some time. But if you just check in with yourself periodically, if you could just be like, okay, I've been doing this for a little bit. I think I'm on the right path. Does it feel right? Let's just sit with that for a little bit and breathe into it. Your body's going to tell you. Your body's going to know, yes, keep going. You're doing great. This is the right path. Or no, maybe we need to look for something else. I think we don't do that enough because we're using our logical mind, and the doctor in the white coat said X, Y, and Z. So I'm just going to listen to that versus trusting in myself because I'm not a doctor. So what do I know? We're not asking you to treat yourself with pharmaceuticals. We're just saying, is what they're saying, does that resonate with you? Does that feel right? Maybe something else feels different and feels more correct for you. So that's the sort of thing that I'm saying when I'm talking about listening to ourselves and following our intuition.
Yeah. And I think like our logical brain is only like 5 or 10% of our actual decision making. The rest is body, subconscious. When we are potentially making decisions about changing things for us, you really do want to be tapping into, what does this feel like? Does this feel like the right decision? And trying to switch off that logical part of the brain, because that's actually not even much of that decision making process anyway. And we can quite easily
Right.
talk ourselves out of those decisions. So,
Often because of fear.
yeah. But then if we can move past that and go, okay, what is this? What is it feeling like in my body? And you might not have a sensation, but you're like, okay, cool. Or it might feel like you get tightness in your chest, or your stomach just becomes queasy, or whatever it might be. Like it's there. Your body does actually know. And like we also mentioned before, which is where I thought maybe if someone's in that IVF path, that trying to conceive after loss, like fertility path, and they're consistently trying and trying, and they're like, I don't know, like, what you're not going to know what that path looks like, but you're also not feeling 100% aligned with that path anymore. Being able to take a step back and listen to our body and ask those questions, like, what am I doing here? Does this feel right? And what else is available to me? Do I need to take space? And like you said, there's not a lot of fertility specialists out there that will say, take a break, pause here, focus on your health. Whereas that's what you do from day one. You're like, let's get your health sorted. But that is in those moments, okay, do I continue on this path? Do I stop? What do I need?
You were a high-performing athlete for a good part of your life. I played sports for a long time as I was growing up. The mentality, and I feel like this is the mentality we teach everybody just with life in general, is just push through. Just keep going. It's going to be fine. I know it's a little bit difficult right now, but just keep going, keep pushing through. This is what you have to do to get to your goal. So we have this mentality, whether we got it from sports or whatever it might be, that, oh yeah, we got to suffer a little bit, we got to work really hard, and we're just going to beat ourselves up until we get the result that we're looking for. And that might be fine if you're a professional athlete playing soccer or something, even though I might question that today. It's not the right approach when we're on our fertility journey. Pushing through, oh, we'll just do another transfer or another retrieval. It's number 6 or 10 or 15. I've heard it all. We're just going to keep going and do another cycle. That's not the right approach in most instances. But we don't know what else to do. We're scared if we stop, will we ever get pregnant? Do we continue? The doctor just keeps telling me to keep going, but we just got to do another cycle and get more eggs or try something different. But trying something different in IVF is still all basically the same. You're talking about a spectrum. It's a variation of a small spectrum. You're shifting from like here to here or there to here, but it's the same thing essentially. So when we're on a fertility journey, sometimes it's not about pushing forward. Sometimes it's not about persevering. It's about taking a step back. It's about creating space. It's about having new perspective and new understanding, maybe a new provider to work with that has a different approach. This is the sort of thing that we really need to take a little bit more ownership of, because IVF is just, it's a hamster wheel. Yeah, once you're in it, it's just better to go on to the next cycle. I hear it every day. And my doc said I shouldn't stop, that I should keep going. I'm like, what logic does that make? Like, why? Like, you're telling me if you don't do IVF this month again, after last month doing it, that next month, we're talking about what, 30 days? Next month, it's going to be dramatically different? Or if I don't do it today, 4 months from now, it's the end? Like, it doesn't work that way. I often hear this push about my age. Oh, I'm getting old. They told me I'm old and I have to do things now. So okay, tell me how old you are. I'm 38, I'm 40, I'm 42, I'm 35, whatever the number is. Great. Okay. And I often hear this when they're like getting to these crucial times, like it's 35, 38, 40, 42, right? Go on. I'm hitting that next marker that research talks about. So what you're telling me is that on your birthday, because I hear this because someone was like, oh, my birthday's in 2 months. He said I have to move forward right now. This happened last week. I have to do a cycle this month because I'm turning 38 in 2 months from now. I'm like, so wait, let's think about this. Tell me if this sounds real. Okay. So on your birthday, the light switch turns off. And she looked at me and I was like, no, seriously, like I'm not joking. This is a real conversation. So on your birthday, she told me her birthday. So on that date, literally, you wake up that day and the light switch goes off and it's no more, you're done. That's what happens. That's not what happens. If that was the case, everyone would just be dead when they hit whatever date, whatever age. That's not real, right? If your life is and your fertility is like a light switch, it's like a dimmer switch. There's things you do that can push the switch down. And there's things you do that can brighten the light and turn it on brighter. What are you going to choose to do? If that is the case, which one of those are you going to choose to do? And I think we have to choose to turn that light brighter. But sometimes to make that choice, it means we got to slow down a little bit. We got to take a break. We maybe find a different direction. Look, if your doctor is just constantly telling you you've got to move forward, you can't slow down, all of these things that are fear-based medicine to push you in a certain direction and to make you not come off the hamster wheel, you need to go in a different direction. That is not okay. First, fear-based medicine is not acceptable. Okay. We can't make all of our decisions about our medical care and our healthcare because we're scared of what may occur, the opposite, right? And we need to be looking out for ourselves to get healthier. And this constant hamster wheel is all, I don't want to say all, because I don't want to pigeonhole every doctor in this way, but it's often about money. It's often about this is the only thing they know how to do. So that's all they're going to tell you to do. But it doesn't mean that's the only thing available. It doesn't mean that's the only option available. And so I think it's really important that for yourself, you're listening to yourself and you're looking at different options and you're taking a break and you're taking a step back and looking and having a different perspective on things. If we look at how things are created in life, in the universe, they're not created in small space. They're created in space. It's by creating space that we can create more life. The universe was that way. It created more space to create the universe. That's the way life is. If we create more space in our life, if we take a step back, if we're not trying to hold and strangle things so tight that we have no space whatsoever because we're trying to control every aspect of what we do, odds are it's not going to work out. So I want to encourage everyone to take a step, create more space, create more opportunity, take a step back and look at things a little bit differently because that's where the magic happens. That's where we see life start.
Yeah, I love that so much. And you hear it a lot where, and I had a conversation not that long ago with a lady who was going through IVF, and she didn't realize how tightly she was holding and trying to control her life and the outcomes of everything. And it wasn't, I must have asked her a question and she's just, holy crap, I didn't realize that was what I was doing. And that is energetically creating space. Like we need to be able to manifest anything. And it's not just like manifest in the way that people use it. Like it's bring in those things that we want. It can't come in if we're hoarding like emotions, beliefs, control. It it doesn't have space to come into your life, into you, into your energy. We need to be able to surrender, expand, declutter, and be able to create space so that those things can come in. And I think that's also when you're navigating trying to conceive after pregnancy loss, even that age thing that you were saying as well. So many women I've spoken to, even just trying to naturally conceive, they're going back to the doctor within weeks after their loss and saying, when can I go again? When can I try again? Because of potentially that age. I'm getting older in my life. I can't wait anymore. I need to get things going now. But when and in everything we've spoken about today as well, choosing to do that when your body is holding so much still or if you're trying to control so much still, like it's not going to work. We do need to take that space and, like you said, take inventory of where things maybe aren't ideal for you. And also, like you do with your clients, go run through different parts of you holistically in your life, because that is what is going to make the changes. That's going to make the transformation, not just potentially your body holding trauma and then you trying to go again on top of that. When we're in those survival states, it essentially cuts off reproduction anyway, because your body's not safe. It's not safe to reproduce. It doesn't feel safe to bring new life into the world. So if you like, and I've said this before, if you really do want to give yourself the best possible chance, working on yourself holistically, not just in parts.
Yeah, that piece is important. This belief that you have to keep persevering and keep going through, I just think needs to shift for everybody, for us to be able to get to the other side and have other opportunities. And I would love to see that happen more frequently with couples, as opposed to just I gotta make this happen.
I would love to see it too. And I could talk to you seriously like for hours. I've realized it is a long episode. Is there anything you wanted to leave the listeners with before we wrap up?
Look, I think if there's one thing that I want everyone listening to take away from today, is really just to have new perspective on your health and your fertility, and to create new opportunity. You have to give yourself some space to do that. And you also have to trust in yourself and have belief that it's possible. I think that is that is essential, but it all comes back to not living in fear. I really believe that most people are making the decisions that they make out of fear. They're scared. And I think that if we took a step back from that and we recognize, yes, I'm scared, but I can make a different decision. And just because I make a different decision doesn't mean that, everything's going to be wrong. I think that is such an important piece. We're so scared to make a different decision, to change what we're doing, to all of it, that we are paralyzed. And I would love to just see everyone just take a step back, live less in fear, make their decisions less from fear, and listen to their body in terms of how they make their next decisions and their next steps forward.
And I think, like you said, with that decision paralysis, if we can just look at what we've got in front of us and go, what's 1% different? What's
Mm-hmm.
one next right move? It doesn't have to be the whole thing. And it can be something that's not number one on the list. It could be number 10 or 5 or whatever. Just that one thing that will start to shift you into that right direction.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah. I have loved listening to you today. And did you want to share with everyone where they can find you, reach out to you potentially if they want to explore working with you as well?
Sure, yeah. I love my YouTube channel because I think it's just super resourceful for everybody. I try to put out a new video every week, and for the most part, we do. So you can always head over to my YouTube channel, which is called Fertility TV, and just learn more there. You can also reach out to me there as well. I'm on all the socials, so you can find me there. I'm under the Fertility Expert, or you can search for me as Marc Sklar. And then you can always find me on my website, marcsklar.com.
Amazing. I'll make sure everything's linked in the show notes anyway so people can find you. But Dr. Marc Sklar, thank you so much for being here today and sharing your wisdom, expertise, all of it. I've loved it.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate you taking the time with me today as well.
My pleasure. Thank you to all that have listened in. If this episode was valuable to you, I invite you to leave a review on Apple Podcasts, and I look forward to supporting you on the next episode. Thank you for listening in with me today. I hope you found this episode helpful. If you did, I would absolutely love to hear from you. Take a screenshot of this episode, share it to social media, and tag me at Institute of Healing_PL. I love seeing what is resonating with you right now. If you want to chat further, I invite you to connect with me through Instagram. Head over and follow my Instagram account, send me a DM, and let's open the communication. If you want to know more about how you can be the support for others, head to the show notes and fill out the application form for the Pregnancy Loss Practitioner certification. I want to also note here that what I share within the episodes is not medical advice. If you need further support, please consult your doctor. Thank you again. Much love to you. Be gentle with yourself, and I look forward to supporting you on the next episode.